Recording in progress.
Okay, everyone, let's call the meeting to order.
Mayor and council, we are live.
So we'll go ahead and start with the calling of the roll.
Councilmember Cole. Present. Councilmember Hampton.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, blessed and honored to be here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Councilmember Lyon.
Here.
Councilmember Madison.
What he said and here.
Councilmember Masuda is absent. Vice Mayor Rivas.
Here.
Mayor Gordo.
Here.
There's a quorum of the council present.
Mr. Cole, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
And happy Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Join me in pledging allegiance to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Why don't we start with ceremonials, and we have longtime employees with 40 and 35 years of service that we are going to be honoring today. I'm going to work my way down. As you hear your name called and your bio read, please step forward so I can present a certificate of commendation to you.
The first employee is Derek M. Carter from the Police Department, 40 years of service. In 1985, Derek Carter moved from Baltimore to California to begin his career as a police officer with the city, where he has served in a wide range of assignments, including patrol, homicide, financial crimes, and the Special Victims Unit. Promoting to corporal in 2004, Derek is now the most senior officer in the PPD. He has worked under 9 police chiefs and supported the city through major events, including 2 Super Bowls and both men's and women's World Cups. His pride in the city's ability to host world-class events is matched by his commitment to ensuring public safety and representing the city with distinction. Deeply devoted to the community, Derek has spent 4 decades protecting our residents and mentoring the next generation of officers. We thank Derek Carter for his dedicated and impactful 40 years of service and extend our heartfelt gratitude for his enduring contributions to the city of Pasadena. Congratulations. Get a picture with the chief as well. Next will be Jose L. Valdez. Jose L. Valdez. Jose L. Valdez, Police Department, 35 years. In August of 1990, Jose L. Valdez began his distinguished career with the city as a laborer in the police department, maintaining the grounds of the Benedict Heliport in Altadena. Quickly promoted to maintenance repairer, he brought unwavering dedication and professionalism to the role, ensuring the heliport remained pristine and all safety equipment fully operational. His meticulous care and outstanding customer service has earned him consistent praise, while his contributions to Foothill Air Support, board meetings, and countless community events helped strengthen the department's public presence. Over the years, Jose has built lasting relationships with colleagues and residents alike, and outside of work, he enjoys car shows with his VW club and spending time with loved ones. Congratulations on your 35 years with the city, Jose, and best wishes for continued success. Thank you. Next is James Wong, Housing Department, 35 years. Jim Wong began his career with the City of Pasadena in 1990 as a Program Coordinator 3, administering a home buyer assistance loan program, and over the years has served with distinction in roles including Senior Project Manager, Acting Director of Housing, and in his current position as Director of the Housing Department. With a bachelor's degree in economics and a master's in architecture and urban planning from UCLA, Jim has demonstrated extraordinary dedication to the department and the community, earning respect for his expertise and leadership in delivering vital housing programs. Known for his collaborative approach, Jim works seamlessly with the public and his team to craft innovative solutions to complex housing challenges. Outside of work, he enjoys collecting music and hunting for vintage vinyl records. Thank you for your important work, Jim, and congratulations on 35 years of service. Damon A. Diego, Public Works, 35 years. In 1990, Damon Diego began his career with the city as a MASH worker in the Public Works Department, and after cross-training became a carpenter in the Building Systems and Fleet Maintenance Division, where he continues to serve today. Over the years, he played a key role in constructing restrooms at Victory Park, Brenner Park, and Brookside Park, as well as 2 restrooms and 2 concession stands at the Rose Bowl Stadium. He also learned to weld and fabricate many ADA upgrades on handrails at most of the city's fire stations, libraries, and community centers. Known for his strong rapport with clients, colleagues, and the public, Damon has built lasting friendships and a reputation for excellence. Outside of work, he enjoys barbecuing and spending time with loved ones. Thank you, Damon, for your dedicated service over the last 35 years. Next is Yanni Wu Bowman, Public Works, 35 years. I don't see Yanni. All right. She's working. That's right. That was good. Dominic M. Cervantes, Water and Power, 35 years. He's on the same crew. All right. Jose T. De La O. I know he's here. Water and Power Department, 35 years. Jose De La O began his career in 1990 in the Water and Power Department as a laborer and steadily advanced through roles including maintenance and construction worker and caulker and repair mechanic before becoming crew supervisor in the Transmission and Distribution Division, a position he has held for the past decade. Throughout his service, he has exemplified leadership, reliability, and dedication, earning the respect of colleagues and the community for his professionalism and determination. When not engaged in city work, Jose treasures time with his family. Thank you, Jose, for your dedicated service over 35 years. Diana A. Valenzuela, Water and Power, 35 years. Diana Valenzuela began her career with the city as Clerk 2 in 1990 and had quickly advanced through roles including Administrative Clerk, Staff Assistant, and Staff Assistant 3 and 4 before becoming an Administrative Specialist for Pasadena Water and Power. In this role, she managed complex responsibilities such as coordinating meetings for the Chief Assistant General Manager and organizing annual inspection trips with PWP and the Metropolitan Water District. Known for her problem-solving skills and dedication to her colleagues, she especially values being part of a supportive team. Among her proudest achievements was stepping up during the COVID-19 pandemic, balancing her own duties while covering responsibilities across multiple locations. Diana is grateful for the friendships and opportunities that have enriched her career. Thank you for your important work, Diana, and congratulations on 35 years of service. The following employees could not be with us this evening, but are celebrating 35 years with the city, and we thank them for their service. Tracy R. Dudley, Housing; Olga L. Wilkins, Police; Juan M. Gonzalez, Public Works; Sandra Hall, Public Works; Jorge Cortez, Water and Power; Castelar Fortich, Water and Power; Harold S. Jones, Water and Power; Anthony J. Syverson, Water and Power.
Okay, I just want to, again, reiterate our gratitude on behalf of the full council to all of our employees. You know, we have the tremendous honor and privilege of sitting here and interacting with the public, and, you know, sometimes we get credit, the credit that's deserved, more so by the employees, the people doing the work. And so I just want to be sure that all of you understand that every member of this council values your work and certainly the decades of time away from your family and commitment to the city of Pasadena. So thank you all very much on behalf of the council for your work and on behalf of all residents of Pasadena.
Mayor, and I think we didn't announce her name, but Irene M. Ochoa from the police department for 35 years. She was supposed to be here as well, but we want to congratulate her as well.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you. The adjourning memory is for...
Next, we will, I'll turn to Mr. Lyon, who has an adjourned in memory of Dr. Kenny Lau.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I would like to ask that we adjourn tonight in memory of Dr. Lau. He was a postdoctoral scholar and experimental cosmologist in Caltech's Division of Physics, Mathematics, and Astronomy. He joined Caltech as a visiting graduate student in 2021 and became a postdoctoral scholar in 2023 in the Observational Cosmology Group. I'm told he made significant contributions to building instruments that study the origins of the universe, and that's about as much as I understand about his work. But in talking with his colleagues, I understand that he was a scientist who thrived on difficult problems, was intensely driven, but unfailingly positive, and he invested himself in mentoring junior colleagues. He was very well loved in the Caltech community, regarded as a dear friend, a mentor, and a colleague. And his passion for science and caring nature and kindness came through in every one of those conversations. Dr. Lau died from injury sustained in a pedestrian accident on Cordova the Saturday before Thanksgiving. And I had the opportunity last night to spend some time with his parents, who were part of a vigil that we held on at the site of the accident. And he's survived by, in addition to his parents, 2 sisters and their families, and the Caltech community. So we extend our deepest condolences to all of his loved ones and to his colleagues at Caltech. And we will adjourn in his memory tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon. And so the council will adjourn in his memory this evening, and we will send a letter to his family. Next, we'll turn to the consent calendar.
We have public comment on matters not on the agenda first, and then...
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
And then, did you want
Get
to
ahead
report out closed session, just to say that?
Yeah, for closed session, the council did consider items, thank you. No, I'm sorry. No, not 2. 3, 4, 5, and 6 on the closed session.
For the special meeting.
Right.
And then on the closed session for the regular meeting, you also discuss item E.
Thank you. We have 2 different agendas, so. And so the council did consider those items, but there is no reportable action.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
So we are moving on to,
Public comment for matters not on the agenda. We have a heavy agenda, and so we're going to do a minute and a half.
minute and a half. Okay. Olden Denham, followed by Alan Shea, followed by Teresa Wong, then Humara Afzal. Olden Denham? And if you hear your name, please come forward and line up,
Yes, please form a line in the center aisle.
and I'll ring a bell at 30 seconds. Go ahead, Mr. Denham.
Good evening once again, everyone. Just to start, not to start off on a bad note, I just want to give a shout out for my school, John Muir. We'll be celebrating 100 years starting next year. But back to my matter at hand here. I'm not happy with what has happened here at all, because I know I only brought the truth to the table, and I'm pretty much almost ashamed of each and every one of you, because if you do know the truth, you know the law was broken, and we haven't addressed it correctly. If you don't know the truth, that means you didn't look into it hard enough, didn't think it was important enough to look in it to find the truth, which also makes me ashamed of your actions, not your inactions, or I should say your inactions I'm ashamed of. I'm still going to request the opportunity to show a short video showing you the actions of that night, and I defy anyone to show me where there was anything threatening or anything near threatening to this young man. Also, I'd like to move forward on this. I've asked several times to have adequate time to show you, and I'm going to call you on it, Mr. Mayor Gordo, because you did tell me you would take the time out and have me come in. So if you haven't seen it, I want you to see it and see it for the truth for what it is. And I want us to address this. And like I said, the only thing I have to bring in here to fight you with or
Your
to
time
address
has
you with
expired.
is the truth. I'm going to cut it short right there. You know what I'm about. But if I don't see
thank
you
you,
again
Mr.
till
Brown.
next year, Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Mr. Denham.
Alan Shea, followed by Teresa Wong, then Humara Afzal.
Hi, hi, Alan Shea, and again, I come before the city council to ensure that we need to ratify the issue of AB 392 one way or another. We've asked for some kind of referendum, reform, something, Mayor Gordo, that shows your leadership, because it's not going to stop here. It's going to be in your legacy that you breach your pledge to this community. And you did pledge to this community that you were going to bring justice because you understood what happened and you have failed it. And if this is your practice, it's going to be until you are out of office here as mayor that we're going to come before you and ensure that everyone hears how you failed us in this area. And we don't need leaders who continue to fail this community. That's why you have this chamber full of people who's showing that you are failing us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shea.
Teresa Wong, followed by Humara Afzal, then Soren Alderson.
Ms. Wong, welcome.
Hi, my name is Teresa Wong, and I am a student studying English at Pasadena City College by day, but I am also a climate activist by night. Something I have dedicated almost all of my time to in these past few months is in helping to pass a polluter's pay resolution here in Pasadena that, if passed, would support the financing of our communities against past, current, and future climate-induced disasters, like the devastating Eaton Fire. Santa Barbara County, just a few days earlier, passed a similar resolution in support of their residents. It is imperative that we keep the momentum going for future legislative cycles. This is all to say, I would just like to confirm that the resolution will be reviewed during this Thursday's Legislative Policy Committee meeting on behalf of not only myself, but also my peers who have lost so much from the Eaton. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Humira Afzal, followed by A. Soren Alderson, then Michael Flynn, then Randall Hine Lamb.
Good evening. I've come bearing gifts. I apologize, they're not Christmas gifts. I brought you some reading material. It is an updated packet of info for you on cities, counties, and states that have done some type of divestment related to Israel, the genocide in Gaza, or ongoing violations of international law in the illegally occupied Palestinian territories. I was here about a month ago, presented a list. I have updated that list because there have, since that time, been additional cities, counties, and states join in that action. I've also annotated the list for you. Same QR code. I will keep updating the same list. For those of you on the Legislative Policy Committee, I've actually printed out many of the articles for you to save you time in advance of your important meeting on Thursday. So I have these here. The number of places all over the country choosing to divest from companies profiting from and/or complicit in the oppression of people, both here in the United States and also in Palestine and other parts of the world, continues to grow every month. I look forward to being able to add Pasadena to that list. I think I have these in order. I hope that somebody will get Councilmember Masuda's copy to him since he's not present tonight.
Thank you, ma'am.
A. Soren Alderson, then Michael Flynn, then Randall Hine Lamb, then Aaron Scott, then Renee Gonzalez virtually.
Hi, my name is Soren Alderson, and I'm here speaking in behalf of my mother, Anna Alderson, who's a 79-year-old disabled tenant with multiple sclerosis. She has been living in a Caltrans home in Pasadena continuously since 1985. I'm here as her advocate. My mother is protected under the Roberti Act and under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Despite this, Caltrans disqualified her from purchasing her home without providing clear written justification, transparent criteria, or meaningful appeal process. In addition, Caltrans staff repeatedly showed up and unannounced at her home, insisting direct one-on-one verbal interaction. Because of her multiple sclerosis, surprise encounters and verbal presence causes her confusion and distress. Even after requests of written-only communications and reasonable accommodations, Caltrans continues the in-person contact. What is happening to my mother is not isolated today. Other Caltrans tenants filed a lawsuit challenging Caltrans' illegal practice under the Roberti Act. Those tenants are...
Sir, your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Flynn, then Randall Hine Lamb, then Aaron Scott, then Renee Gonzalez virtually.
Thank you. I'm here tonight to talk about an unanswered public records request. So this is relating to the trip to Israel that was taken earlier this summer. And a previous activist had made a public records request that sort of showed that this trip was funded by the Jewish Federations of Los Angeles and the Jewish Federation of San Gabriel and Pomona Valleys. So I submitted an additional public records request number 0039644, and that has not been answered. And I'm not sure if I ran afoul of some discrimination law, but it's been almost 2 months. And my request was specifically for the correspondence with the Jewish Federation, all emails to and from city council members and their staff assistance liaisons, with the Jewish Federation of Los Angeles at jewishla.org and the Jewish Federation of San Gabriel and Pomona Valleys, which is at jewishsjpv.org, starting from February 2024, and with attachments. I don't know why I have not received a response to this public records request. I believe that law says that, we at least get a response. So,
Thank you.
Mayor, could we look into that? I'm actually one of the council members who went on that trip. There's been a lot of misinformation about that, so I'd love it if that all got clarified. But I don't recall ever seeing a PRA request, so could we
yeah, I
ask
can
the
give you the
city?
number again. It's,
No, just provide it to the Sergeant at Arms and he'll pass it up to the bailiff. I mean, to the city attorney. The bailiff and the Sergeant at Arms.
Randall Heidenlamb, then Aaron Scott, then Renee Gonzalez virtually.
Randall Heinlam, District 5 resident. Yesterday's murder of 15 Hanukkah celebrants at Sydney's Bondi Beach, which is being widely reported, and the less well-reported almost 400 killed on or near Gaza's beaches since the Trump ceasefire agreement was inked in October, illustrate the futility of violence to bring justice and peace to the Middle East. It is the silence and complicity of the U.S. and other governments to compel Israeli compliance with international law and UN resolutions, which fuels a growing anti-Semitism among those who cannot differentiate between Judaism and Zionism. I would even argue that the silence of this body and your failure to use the nonviolent tools of boycott, divestment, and sanctions have contributed to the status quo, leaving an open door for those who would employ violence to achieve liberation. I returned 2 weeks ago from an 18-day visit to the East Jerusalem, the West Bank, and Israel, where I saw for myself the proliferation of illegal Zionist settlements on stolen lands and the terror brought by Israeli settlers unrestrained by law or morality. My trip included listening sessions with current and former Knesset members, with faith leaders, and with the brave Israelis, Jerusalemites, and Palestinians whose message to you is show your solidarity with the oppressed, pass a resolution saying Pasadena will not be complicit in the occupation, apartheid, ethnic cleansing, or genocide. I encourage this council to join cities from Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon
Your
to
time
use
has expired.
nonviolent tools
Thank you.
for boycott, divestment at your disposal. Thank you.
Aaron Scott, followed by Renee Gonzalez.
My name is Erin Scott, and I'm a mother and a community member here that's obviously also been affected by the Eaton fire. And we watched in horror and despair as the school and towns burned. Our friends and community members lost homes and businesses, and we saw first responders step up and do everything they could to help us. And we also saw the aftermath. The schoolyards and lawns that were closed because they're filled with chemicals and lead tests that failed. Now, picture Palestine. Not only is there a genocide of the people, but there's a devastation to the Holy Land itself, the infrastructure, the water table, the native plants, animals, and the history and the intelligence there. And as people, as first responders, humans that have seen in person the devastation that comes, you can imagine what the devastation in Palestine does to the people and the innocent children and families. What toxic chemicals are they and first responders exposed to? How many years before the environment recovers? Your retirement fund contributes in part to that brutal legacy. Is that really something that you're comfortable with, a reality that you're comfortable with? Thank you.
Thank you.
Renee Gonzalez is on there.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Mr. Gonzalez, you have a minute and a half. I'll ring a bell when you have 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Greetings, Mayor Gordo, Vice Mayor Rivas, and esteemed City Council members. This is just a friendly follow-up on our meeting request with Mayor Gordo and Vice Mayor Jess Rivas at your earliest convenience. I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, and we look forward to hearing from you soon about our meeting request, as well as to help us plan an official visit to Guanajuato in early 2026. Our community has worked very hard on this historic first Mexico Sister City affiliation, and we will really like the full support of the City Council. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you. That completes public comment on matters not on the agenda.
Okay, turning to the consent calendar.
Excuse me, Mayor, I think one of the members, one of the public speakers referred to alleged policy meeting on Thursday, and I want to just make sure everyone understands, if that's the fire regulation discussion that relates to climate change and fire hazard, that is not on Ledge Policy's agenda. Do you know which one it was, Mark, that the speaker referenced?
The speaker referenced, that item will be on. It's the climate polluter.
None of our legislation?
Yeah, it's going to be on the agenda for.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we'll turn to the consent calendar. Oh, yes.
And we have public comment speakers on items 3 and 4. And then there's correspondence we received for item 3, which is one letter expressing concerns with the proposed vendors' unsatisfactory support services to other agencies that purchase similar equipment. That was item 3. And item 9, one letter in support of the contract for the Brenner Park Playground project. Those letters were distributed to the council, posted online, are part of the record for this item.
Okay. And before we take up the sweet motion on the consent calendar, as required by the Brown Act, prior to taking action on items 13 and 14 regarding compensation of the city clerk and city attorney/city prosecutor, this is to announce the recommendation that the city clerk will receive a 3% general wage increase effective July 14th, 2025, a 10% lump sum one-time payment in recognition of his performance, a one-time allotment of 40 additional hours of management time off, and change to the time management time off bank to have a soft cap with maximum set to 120 hours and cash out hours exceeding the cap. And as it relates to, an update to the evaluation cycle dates. And as to the city attorney, city prosecutor, she will receive a 3% general wage increase effective July 14th, 2025, a 10% lump sum payment in recognition of her performance, a one-time allotment of 40 additional hours of management time off, and change to the management time off bank to have a soft cap and cash out hours exceeding the cap. Okay. Thank you. Now turning to the consent calendar, which items are we holding? 3 and 4.
One you need to recuse, number 1 you need to recuse on. 3 and 4 have speakers.
So let's hold 1, 3, and 4. And 8. Is there a motion on the remainder of the consent calendar?
Second.
Okay. Are there any objections? No, so all the consent calendar is approved with the exceptions of items 1, 3, and 4,
and 8.
And 8. Let's take them in reverse order. Mr. Cole?
On number 3 and number 8, these are both requests for us to enter into contracts. Number 3 is for us to purchase up-to-date consoles that will be compatible with our Motorola dispatch system. And number 8 is to buy furniture for the Hale building. Since it's being rehabilitated, we're going to get rid of all or some of the furniture and replace it with upgraded contemporary furniture. In both cases, this illustrates a concern I've raised repeatedly. We've said it would come before the Finance Committee for discussion. I'm waiting for that to happen. In the meantime, it's an example of if money were no object, I would understand why we would end up married to Motorola forever, right? They're a supplier to most public safety agencies in the country. And so
some years back, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, we entered into a relationship with Motorola. We're comfortable with Motorola. But now we're tied to buying everything that's compatible with Motorola, including directly from Motorola, $1.5 million worth of furniture. And technical furniture, the consoles are not just chairs and tables, but, and then number 8, apparently we have a favorite furniture company in the city of Pasadena. I didn't know that, but it turns out it's called the Hahn Company, H-O-N. And so when we go out and buy new furniture, anybody can sell us Hahn furniture, but they have to sell us Hahn furniture. They can't sell us anything but Hahn furniture, because even though City Hall and the Hale Building are across the street from each other, I guess we have to have matching furniture, because I'm not sure why. But you know, again, if it were I used to go to the Toyota dealer to get my oil changed, right? It seemed simple. I didn't mind paying the extra premium. But we're facing really tough economic times in this city. And I just don't see any interest in looking at less costly alternatives to always going with the manufacturer we've been comfortable with, or the manufacturer that we've utilized in the past. It's a little bit like, you know, always going to Williams and Sonoma when you can get something the same at at Target. So, you know, it's a practice. Again, I'm looking at our city hall. It's a beautiful city hall. We didn't go cheap on our city hall 100 years ago. But given our financial constraints, I really would like to have a serious discussion about this pattern and practice of always going with the status quo.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. Now we'll turn to item 3, public speaker.
Item 3, Humara Afzal, followed by Randall Hein Lamb, and then Yadi. And Yadi's going to speak on 3 and 4. 2 minutes.
I'm back again.
Minute and a half, sorry.
Okay, that works. I am here regarding item 3, about the purchase and installation of 12 police dispatch radio communication consoles for close to $1.5 million. And I appreciate Councilman Cole's remarks a minute ago. I also encourage you to pay attention to who you're doing business with, because it's a reflection of this city's values. In the case of Motorola, it doesn't align with the city's professed values. Motorola profits from oppression and exploitation of people in our Pasadena community, and also from oppression and genocide of Palestinians. I was busy making your packets, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare comments, but let me just read you some headlines. There is American Friends Service Committee has an article, Investigate. I'll just read you the subheadings regarding Motorola. Mass surveillance of immigrants, border monitoring and surveillance, the Israeli occupation of Palestine, U.S. prison security and surveillance, U.S. police surveillance and militarization. There have been entities boycotting Motorola since for at least 20 years. A few more headlines. This app lets ICE track vehicles and owners across the country. Motorola. ICE license plate app quietly expands a nationwide surveillance web. That includes right here in Pasadena. Motorola. Can ICE track your car? Here's the terrifying digital reality. Motorola is all over the article. Please, you can't say you stand with immigrants and then turn around and buy from companies profiting from
Your time is up.
Randall Hein Lamb.
terrible things.
Thank you.
Followed by Yadi.
Randall Hein Lamb again. I oppose this contract because Motorola Solutions has a long-standing, extensive relationship with the Israeli military and other security agencies. Motorola provides specialized communication and surveillance systems used by the IDF, police, and prison services, including being the sole supplier of the IDF's 4G cellular network and encrypted smartphones used during military operations in occupied Palestinian territories in Gaza. Motorola supplies Israel with wide area surveillance systems, including radar and cameras, for use in the illegal Israeli settlements, along the apartheid wall, and at military bases. Motorola Solutions also sells communication systems and maintenance to Israeli police and prison services, including facilities in the occupied West Bank. Due to the activities in the settlements, Motorola Solutions has been included in a United Nations database of companies involved in Israel's illegal settlement enterprise. This contract would likely come in direct conflict with both the current ethical investment guidelines adopted by Pasadena, as well as any revised guidelines being considered at the next Legislative Policy Committee meeting. I urge the council to reject this contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Yadi, followed by Sandy.
I just want to start with saying, let the record reflect that I'm not the only person in Pasadena that cares about surveillance. So I have two quick comments about the radio consoles. One is that there wasn't really a robust conversation engaging the public when the police department decided to encrypt their radios, and that really had a chilling effect on transparency. And I hope that this council can perhaps in the near future work to bringing that discussion again, because there is a workaround that other municipalities do to allow for accessing the radio waves of law enforcement. And unless I'm mistaken, I think the fire department does not encrypt their radios. And to Councilmember Cole's point, there hasn't ever been an audit of this system that we've had for many, many years. And the staff report stated that this was part of a cooperative purchasing agreement, and I would just like for the council to take a look and see if that's part of our municipal code regulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandy?
Yeah, I won't speak for long, and I have enormous respect for Mr. Cole. But I've worked a long time with radio communications people, and the problem with fragmenting radio communications is there's a huge infrastructure of over-the-air keying for encryption, different encryption algorithms, jam resistance, and Motorola simply has the best solution for all of those things. You could go to ICOM, you could go to a dozen other vendors, but you wouldn't find the kind of compatibility that you will find with Motorola between the mobile data system, the mobile data terminals, the handsets that the officers have, the relay stations that the officers have, and the ability to communicate at times of crisis without having your communications interrupted. That's for the police. I don't know the fire department here, but there's a similar argument for the fire department. And if you explore the radio communication systems of virtually every town of our size or larger in the United States, you will find they use almost exclusively Motorola equipment because of their reliability, their resistance to environmental hazards like smoke and fire, their resistance to jam, and their ability to communicate across networks within our own organization. So there are a lot of technical reasons for supporting Motorola, and this is one of the things that you run into when you start having the pro-Palestinian groups say, we can't buy Motorola because the Israelis use it. It was Caterpillar and two other companies at one time. Now it's Motorola, and it will be dozens of other
Sandy, your
companies.
time has expired. That completes public comment on the consent calendar.
Thank you. The next,
we need motions on 8, 4, 3, and 1.
Well, let's
And
hold one.
yeah.
So
3, 4, and 8.
So is there a motion on 3, 4, and 8? Moved, seconded by Mr. Hampton.
And I, just to bring some clarity, and I agree with Councilmember Cole's comments, and I would typically go in on these comments because I'd be happy to say, we should look at all different types of companies. In my profession, have to bring that up just as a contractor. Hahn is actually, the competitor is Herman Miller. Herman Miller costs significantly more than Hahn. And so I think that staff should come back with a presentation and let us know what all still much more than Hahn in most cases. So it seems like the most value for the dollar. And I think that staff should present why we use certain companies, but there's only a couple of major manufacturers of furniture for office spaces. As far as Motorola goes, and I appreciate and respect everybody's comments tonight, the next company would be Apple, LG, and then we would be having the same conversations about LG and Apple. So I would happily second this. I think that there needs to be a deeper discussion, but ultimately I second the motion. Okay, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. And are there any objections to the motion?
Mayor, I put myself in the queue there just to respond, if I could quickly. Sure. I think, thank you for the second. I definitely think we have to be cost conscious. I don't know that we need to schedule a long discussion. I think the staff probably well understands that we, in a time of fiscal restraint, should be looking for opportunities to save taxpayer dollars. I'm persuaded in my review of the materials and my regular meetings with staff that is top of mind. But if members of the council want to reiterate that, so be it. I'm just not sure what the discussion would be without considering particular departments' needs or particular vendors' advantages and disadvantages, you know, so.
Let's not belabor the point. I see other members of the council moving forward. I think maybe having the staff respond in a memo form specifically to that issue.
Or maybe it's, I mean, I agree with the whole discussion because we've brought this up in finance, but maybe as a part of the staff report, it should say the reason why we are purchasing this equipment. And here goes our reasoning or rationale, and we believe that this is going to be the best value for the residents and our taxpayers.
You mean going forward?
Going forward.
Okay.
So I think it's worth a discussion, and I think that that's a good outcome of a discussion. And I agree with Mr. Madison that it's not, that we can't have a generic approach, but I do think we have a generic approach now, which is to favor going with the premium approach and sticking with it all the way through the supply chain. And that's what I'd like to have a discussion about.
Okay. With that, any objections?
Motion is unanimously approved.
Okay, and on this next item, because I do work for LIUNA, I'm going to recuse myself on item 1 and ask Ms. Rivas to handle the matter.
Is there a motion on item 1?
So moved.
Seeing no objections, that motion passes.
In at 7:33.
Okay, that brings us to item.
Do you want to do the ordinances quickly and get those done?
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to item 19, which is second reading of an ordinance. This is an ordinance of the City of Pasadena amending Title II, Organization and Administration, Chapter 2.05, City Council, Section 2.05.170 of the Pasadena Municipal Code regarding the Council Economic Development and Technology Committee, and adding Section 2.05.205 to Chapter 2.05 of the Pasadena Municipal Code to create the Council Housing, Homelessness, and Planning Committee. This was offered by Councilmember Lyon. To adopt this, Councilmember Cole? Yes. Councilmember Hampton? Yes. Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Lyon?
Yes.
Councilmember Madison?
Yes.
Councilmember Masuda is absent. Vice Mayor Rivas?
Yes.
Mayor Gordo?
Yes.
Motion is approved unanimously. And the ordinance is adopted the same. For item 20, which is second reading of an ordinance, this is an ordinance of the City of Pasadena amending Title 10, Chapter 10.46, Sections 10.46.010, 10.46.020, 10.46.050, 10.46.060, 10.46.080, 10.46.090, and 10.46.120 of the Pasadena Municipal Code regarding police towing franchise system. This was introduced by Councilmember Hampton. To adopt, Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Councilmember Hampton?
10-4.
Councilmember Jones? Councilmember Lyon?
Yes.
Councilmember Madison?
Yes.
Councilmember Masuda is absent. Vice Mayor Rivas?
Yes.
Mayor Gordo?
Yes.
That ordinance is adopted unanimously. Did you want to move on to item 16, the old business? Or do you want to move on to the OPS?
Oh, the OSP, yeah.
OSP? Okay, we're going to move on to item 18, which is the optimized strategic plan. So we're going to skip item 16 real quick.
Can't we do the annual report of OIR quickly and get that out of the way? I think this one's going to take a long time, isn't it? No? Okay.
This is just we're just discussing a framework. The real tough decisions are going to be when it's time to approve expenditures.
And I would just read into the record that City Clerk's office received 6 letters advocating for a clear statement of the city's goals, asking staff to ensure that the goal of the Reso 9977 for 100% carbon-free energy by 2030 on an hour matching basis is clearly noted, and/or an increase to the solar size restriction. And those letters were distributed to the council, posted online, and are part of the record. There's also correspondence received from the 11/5/25 Municipal Services Committee meeting. That correspondence was also part of the record here and distributed.
How many cards?
For this item, for item 18, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mr. Reyes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. We are extremely pleased at Water and Power to bring forward this optimized strategic plan this evening. It does represent about a year and a half of work that includes work with the community in the form of a TAP, which was established, I want to say about a year and a half ago, and we've had 14 meetings with them. We've had about 5 meetings with the community at large, 13 meetings total with the MSC and City Council. So we're really excited that this is the result of a lot of collaboration and does represent the council policy goals with respect to the adopted resolution 9977. MSC on November 5th recommended unanimous approval of can we advance the slide one, please? Thank you. Did recommend unanimous approval of the optimized strategic plan as presented with several changes. And those changes are noted here. In addition to these changes, which are actually resulted in changes to the OSP, I think I'm going to have maybe some challenges with this. I don't know if I can get some tech support, but yeah. And because I want to go forward. Thank you. Yeah, so, well, 4. So in addition to the items noted in terms of changes to the OSP, there was several recommendations that the MSC recommended, thank you, sir, that are not changes to the OSP, but rather additional topics of discussion. And that does include the solar, which is the first item there, as well as looking at our municipal solar budget, review of our public benefits and the programs that we have utilized there, a discussion of solar in general with our net energy metering, and then some barriers to solar adoption, as well as the structure and staffing of the implementation of this OSP, and then obviously looking at next steps. Thank you very much. And Okay, well, if I can go back one. Thank you, Mr. Chomsky. These are the changes that I know it's a lot of text, and I don't expect everyone to read and grasp that right now, but this is basically stating that we have made the changes, and it identifies the pages within the OSP, within, I don't know, who did that? That one? No. Thank you. No. Thank you very much. This is par for the course with this project. Yeah, exactly. So we have been very cognizant of the MSC recommendations that have made changes to the OSP document that's in front of the City Council for consideration this evening. And we have identified the page here and are going to go into a little bit more detail, actually as much detail as the council would like when Ms. Wen comes up and makes the presentation after I just give this quick intro. But I wanted to make sure that it was very clear to both the council and the public that we're responsive to the MSC concerns and their recommended changes to the document itself, as well as how we're going to handle some very important future items. Because as the mayor stated, this is a framework. It's meant to be a living, breathing document, and it's meant to provide a framework forward as we really try to embrace the work of being carbon free. I think Ms. Wen, our Assistant General Manager for Power Supply, is going to discuss a lot of the work that we've done already in the last couple of years, as well as council's direction going back to 2015 in terms of being carbon free. So a lot of work has been happening within the last 10 years. It's not just that this OSP has started and we're waiting for this document to be adopted by the City Council. We've made significant investments in green energy, significant programs, and significant staffing resources. And so we'll share some of that, but we are really excited to present this optimized strategic plan this evening that provides a framework for being 100% carbon free by 2030, both the hourly and the annual. But we have noted, as recommended by the MSC, that this is an OSP that does identify how to get forward on an hourly basis. And again, some of those tough decisions about how much things will cost and what it will do to the ratepayers, those are really not within the OSP this evening. The OSP provides a framework, and whether it's the CIP or an electric rate study in the future, that is where we're going to be discussing increased rates and or how to actually move forward, because it's important to note both for the public but the council that the OSP has a waypoint in 2026 where we would come back and evaluate where we are, as well as 2028, and then quarterly updates to MSC. So we want to be really transparent about our progress, about how much things cost and where we are at all times. Our dashboard is online and up to date. We expect to be ahead of the state's goals by about 15 years with respect to their goals. Our goals are a little bit more ambitious, and we want to track those and make sure that the public is aware of what those are, as well as the City Council, and then the cost implications of those. So this evening, we are presenting a plan that provides a framework forward that's consistent with the adopted resolution, and Kelly Wen, our AGM for Power Supply, is going to make the rest of the presentation. We've got, Mayor, about 20 slides. We can go as fast or as slow as you'd like, and we can take questions at any time, whatever you would like. Like I said, we've got about 15 minutes of presentation, but can really get into the details if that's the council's desire.
Mayor, I don't necessarily think we need an entire presentation. I know there's some colleagues that are not on MSC, but I mean, at MSC, we've deliberated on this from what my calculations are 7 meetings at MSC. We've brought this plan 4 times to the City Council. And, you know, this was approved unanimously by MSC at the last meeting or the meeting before that. And I believe that this is really just a clear path towards 100% carbon-free electricity for the city of Pasadena. It's a great path forward. I think that David, Kelly, Stacy, the technical advisory panel have done a great job in getting us to this point here. At least from MSC's point, you know, I think if you, is this the slide with all of our recommendations? Yeah, so this was all of our recommendations that was included in the memo. I think you've responded to it. There's only 2 things that I would just like Mr. Reyes to highlight. One is the solar incentives. That discussion is prepared to come back to Municipal Service Committee pretty soon, right?
Yeah, either late January or the first meeting in February. We have some incentives to help offset the federal tax credit that was taken away.
And then the second item was the restructuring plan for implementation, or perhaps making a recommendation to have one person just kind of in charge of implementing Resolution 997 throughout the city.
And Chair Jones, I would say that we are looking at that. We think it'll be a combination of internal staffing, but also recognize that we don't have all the expertise in-house. We've not done municipal scale solar at this level, or some of the other programs that are going to be needed. And so we're going to probably do an RFP to get the right consultants on board, and that will be shared with MSC in terms of what that plan looks like. So we want to make sure that we've got the right path forward, and we want to investigate all avenues to make sure that we're implementing and actually doing things that are achieving the goals set forth in this plan.
And then lastly, the what's on here as proposed study session topics. My understanding from our motion was that this was already from MSC. We wanted to go from solar capacity limits from 150% to 200%, which would just require an ordinance change, right? So it wouldn't necessarily be a study session, it would be you coming back to MSC with a proposed ordinance change.
That's correct.
Okay, so yeah, so I mean, it's misleading, but I appreciate that clarification. And so that's where I'm at on this. I don't necessarily think we need an entire presentation, but I'm happy to defer to my colleagues.
What's the will of the council? I agree that the framework is there. You know, the difficulty is going to come when we see the price tag for implementation, when we see the costs associated. Already, we are going to be seeing year-over-year increases in rates of 10%, 9.9%. In 2 years, and that's just associated with improving the infrastructure. But that's a big hit, and when we see the costs associated with implementing this framework, we'll have to make some very difficult decisions. What's the will of the council? Do we need a full presentation?
I'm on MSC, so I would say I don't believe that we need a full presentation. But I'm on MSC, so you might want to ask people that aren't on MSC.
Okay. Mr. Cole?
Mr. Jones addressed all but one of the concerns I have, and he addressed that one, but I just would underscore and clarify. On implementation pathways and next steps, discussion of potential programmatic policy and operational changes informed by the study sessions. I think what we're asking for from the city manager and from the general manager of Water and Power is an understanding of what the language of the OSP says is a transformational change in the way we do business. That's what the OSP says. And yet we're not, we don't have a plan for how to transform our utility to deliver a transformational change. And that's what we're looking for from the city manager and the general managers. What changes in the way the utility operates, its staffing, its budgeting, and its programs and policies, and whether that's additional staff, different staff, consultants, et cetera. I think we are looking to our staff to bring us forward. But I think that this is a major change in the way we do business. And as you've acknowledged, we don't have a lot of that in-house. I think it's better to develop it in-house than to go out-house and to continue to rely on expensive consultants. But that's just my opinion. But I'm looking for the staff's viewpoint as well.
Okay. Mr. Line, followed by Ms. Rivas, then Mr. Madison.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to, we talked about this a lot at MSC, but I want to take a minute again to thank the department for all the hard work and the technical advisory panel, for the citizen panel that worked on this with the department. It was a lot of work. And, you know, when I think I was the person who initially asked for this proposal to come forward. And when I asked for it, we set a 6-month timeline on when it should come back, and it it proved to be a lot more work than I think any of us anticipated at the time. So it's been almost 2 years. And it's worthwhile because it lays the path forward that gets us to 100%. But I want to continue to say time is of the essence. It is important that we move with as much urgency as we can. We declared an emergency for a reason. I do want to say on the costs are not known yet, so I don't want to, I think there's been a tendency to want to assign a lot of costs to greening. So far, that hasn't borne out in the work we've been doing. It's not bearing out in the market, and the rate increase that the mayor mentioned earlier is really catching up on deferred maintenance that we didn't pay for in previous years. So we have a little paying for the past to do, and then to move forward. But so much of this plan is about partnering with private stakeholders, installing solar on their own buildings, commercial ratepayers and residents. So we don't yet know what the cost to the city will be or how much we want to invest, but I am heartened that this council decided together that implementation of Resolution 9977 was one of our top 5 budget priorities for fiscal year 2027 coming up next year. So there is room to invest here and to partner with the community. And now that we have a solid plan, we can begin to actually move into the implementation phase. So I'm very excited to move forward from this point, and I'm grateful for the work.
Thank you. And I hope you're correct on the costs. Mr. Madison. Oh, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Rivas.
Thank you, Mayor, and of course, want to thank everyone, staff, MSC, the technical advisory panel, all the residents who have been following this. A lot of work went into this. But I do want to briefly call out the net energy metering that MSC, I think rightly so, has pulled out of this plan. I think we need to talk about that further, especially in the light of the fact that we have no incentives to offer residents to go solar with expiration of the federal tax benefits or the tax rebates. And so that is the one thing we have to encourage people to do it. So we really have to consider that carefully and closely and make sure I maintain it in a way that it still encourages people to move to solar, but is also fiscally sustainable for the department. So we got to dig into that and look into that. And so I just want to thank the members of MSC and also the residents who noticed that, that we pull that out and discuss that separately. And thank you also to staff to committing to have that study and discussion. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Madison?
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I'm really excited about this development. This was not easy to get to this point. It was a battle every step of the way until recently, and I'm grateful to staff for that. But as I understand, municipal services made the following changes, basically, to the staff recommendation. I just want to make sure I'm on the same page, that we're going to the hourly analysis rather than an annual basis for how carbon-free is calculated. And that's consistent with 9977. I thought it was curious, by the way, that the resolution appears nowhere in the plan, unless I missed it. There are numerous references to it. I think it should be in the plan so that nobody can claim later, well, as your predecessor, frankly, did, Mr. Reyes, claimed, well, it's not really a mandate. It's just sort of an aspiration. It's like doing 100 pull-ups in the gym, maybe some. No, it's a mandate from this city council. We feel very strongly about this. And with regard to some of the cost issues, for sure, it may be a heavy lift. I'm with Mr. Lyon on this. I think it will be not as heavy as we expected, but I'll tell you this, it'll be a lot lighter than losing the planet and ending civilization. I mean, we got a little taste of that in January, and I don't mean to minimize the pain and the loss of January, but I mean in terms of the real consequences of this. And we're now having to battle with a federal administration that is a climate denier and doing everything as fast as it can, near as I can tell, to destroy the planet, as long as it provides short-term profit to the president and his cronies. So I would like, if it's not too late, I'd love to approve this with the resolution in there. It's sort of like our charter document. It was adopted ultimately unanimously after a really vigorous discussion. Then the goal for additional local solar resources from 50 to 70, with at least 50 coming from Pasadena customers, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is that the part where we talk about the 150 to 200, or is that sort of a separate?
That's a separate discussion. That would be part of an ordinance change that would further change what the council approved several months ago to allow for additional sizing of the solar.
I was going to say, we did have a robust discussion about that very recently. And so now we're prepared to be even more aggressive, it sounds like, which I applaud.
Correct.
Okay, great. And then we will include a timeline for incentives, initiatives, and education to increase the adoption and embracing of local solar. Does that mean by residents or by the city or by businesses or all of the above?
All of the above, but the city needs to set forth what the plan is and really push that plan so that there's an educational component to it.
Great. And then remove references to proposed changes to NEM or net energy metering. Is that because it's the best we've got so far? And if we could improve it with something different, we would, but we're not going to make changes to that.
Yeah, I think saying that we want to add additional solar to the community and then taking away net energy metering without having a replacement probably doesn't make any sense. So I think we need to have that full discussion.
Okay. And then additional narrative regarding the viability of hydrogen as an emerging technology. So that'll be inserted into the plan.
Yes, and what's on the screen in front of you, I know it's a small text, but this identifies each change and where in the plan it's been changed on which page or chart.
So the text has already been changed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I do think it's important to add that resolution, so I'm hopeful I'll let the members of the committee make the motion, but I'm hopeful that they'll be amenable to including that, because that's really when Pasadena planted a flag that we are going to live up to the leader that we are in things, all science and humanity, which is really what this is. So thank you.
Yeah, it's an important step. Prior to the resolution, we were on track to get to 95% renewables.
We were actually much lower than that.
What were we on?
But we were in the high 50s or low 60s, and I think that there was a lot of staff work that was in progress.
Okay.
And I think that resolution really signified what the policy direction from council was versus nice to have. It was, this is the direction we need to go.
But I recall we were.
Yeah, so if Mayor, we are currently on track. If we do nothing else, the projects that we have in the pipeline, we're going to hit about 92%, we think, around 2030. But we're obviously pushing for more than that right now.
And it's just that last 8 to 10% that is really the.
That's correct, and I think that we
challenge.
We don't know what the technology is going to be in 5 years, and we're really hopeful that we'll continue to evolve as a country, as a world, and have additional technologies that will be available at a larger scale, also that will be cost effective. So
I guess my point is, Pasadena has been a leader for decades when it comes to renewables and green energy, and has made its impact. Now this puts us on a faster track and absolutely appropriate, but there will be, costs associated with implementation of the framework, and those are real costs to real residents who are struggling. And so all I'm suggesting is, and I'm hopeful, believe me, I'm hopeful that the technology is there, that that we can implement without causing economic harm to residents. But I think we need to be vigilant about that. And when those decision points come, we are absolutely going to have, hopefully I'm wrong, but I believe we're going to have some very difficult decisions to make. In terms of providers, how's the market? You know, my home has had solar since probably 2014 or so. You know, but you know, I've experienced a company that went bankrupt, and then it was, you know, one of our I don't know what you call them, not the panels, but whatever the panels feed into, went out, and it was out for a year. We couldn't get, because they were in bankruptcy, we couldn't get anyone to come out and fix it, so we were without solar. Fortunately, we were not disconnected from DWP, but we were without solar for probably the better part of a year. And, you know, still having to pay the lease and not receiving the benefit of it. So are the how's the market in terms of providers?
Mayor, a couple of issues. First, not addressing your question, but to be clear about the municipal scale or the community solar, which are the larger installations that will benefit the entire community, we're going to release an RFP next month. And so we'll have a really good sense of what things will cost and how much energy we'll get back from that. And that's obviously something, those contracts would come before the city council, and we'll share with MSC ahead of time. So that's one thing, so that we want to understand what that market looks like, and we don't have a lot of experience there. So we'll have firsthand knowledge in just a few months in the early spring. With respect to rooftop solar, whether it's residential or commercial, we are seeing that there is a robust, the providers are there. The contractors are there, and I think the technology is there. Again, I think what we're seeing is that the loss of the federal tax incentive is going to create some challenges, and that's something that we need to come up with in terms of what our benefits are as a city and what we can do. And those are actually what's listed on the next page, which is come to the MSC and have a full discussion about what our incentives are. And so again, I think to answer your question directly, we think that the technology exists. We think that the contractors are there and ready and willing.
Good.
It's just a matter of us educating and having the right programs in place to ensure that we get the solar that we need.
The successor to our solar company came out, reviewed our system, and you know, even after they changed whatever equipment they changed, it still wasn't producing what it should produce. And I was sent a picture of our panels with a statement that said, "This is your problem. One of your trees is grown too tall." And, you know, so, you know, trees are good for the environment as well. And so, but that's literally what we were told is, you know, it's your tree. And so I asked staff to work with the solar companies to mitigate that as much as we can during the installation process.
To mitigate trees growing, Mayor? Or
No, to mitigate it, well,
Mayor, we understand
that's what the solar companies are
Well, I
suggesting.
was going to say, it should have been foreseeable that the tree would have grown, and they would have known that when they placed the panels. But you're correctly addressing, you know.
That's my point is, you know, that someone has got to give some thought to the balance between, you know, beautiful trees. And actually, the tree is not my tree, it's a neighbor's tree. And so the neighbor's large pine tree is affecting my solar. And they literally sent me a picture with the panels, you know, with a cloud. And it was during the rain event, a cloud, and they said the tree. And I said, well, the cloud moves. You know, it's not there all the time. But that's the picture they chose to send. And then they claimed that the tree also had an impact. So it was the tree and the cloud. Yeah, so I reached out to Ms. Rivas for a little representation.
I'll speak just anecdotally. We recently installed solar a month or two ago, and we went through that analysis with our contractor on each angle and each side and which one's most optimal. So it's something that we all, you know, and folks hopefully will continue to do and pick the best side of their home.
Yeah.
And I mean, since we're on the topic of solar, I just I think that as we talk about incentives, and I'm sure that's going to come back to us, it would be an incentive to not put a limit on how much solar an individual, because those perks are gone. I wasn't looking for an applause, but I appreciate it. Those perks they're gone, right? I mean, so the government incentive is gone. If we allow our residents to put as much solar as they want on their property, that's an incentive in itself. So that's just an item that will come to MSC as we're talking about solar. But I know this tonight is the OSP, so.
Yeah. Okay, with that,
Comment?
public comment.
Martha Zavala, followed by Teresa Wong, followed by Simon Anjusic. Hopefully I got that right. Then Sam Burnt, then Jamie Scott, then Felix Brendan, then Cynthia Kennedy, and then Rex Mayrillis. And then Yadi, sorry, Yadi's in there as well. So, Mayor, a minute and a half or 2 minutes?
Yes.
Which one?
Oh.
I'll take two.
Two? Do you want a minute and a half? Or two?
Yeah. How many speakers are there?
8.
8, let's do 2.
Okay, thank you. Mayor.
Thank you. Good evening to you all. I'm so encouraged by the discussion that I heard. It's fantastic. My name is Martha Zavala. I'm Advocacy Director for the League of Women Voters Pasadena area and speak to you representing our league. I'm here with the incoming president of the league, Amy Majeski, with some of our directors, Susan Sosin. As you know, the league is one of the original members of the Pasadena 100 Coalition. And it speaks to the strength of our democracy here in Pasadena that this elected body set a bold goal, a moonshot, as we agreed nearly 2 years ago, and that we now have a plan to reach it, not to maybe glance alongside it, but to actually reach it. With the adjustments that you're making to the plan, we really are so proud. We know that PWP has had many challenges to overcome: technology, plain old physics, and of course, time. And we know that the devil's in the details, but in spite of all those issues, they continue to find solutions that make it possible to reach the goal. Thank you to PW staff for your hard work, and to you, our elected leaders, for standing firm in your commitment to carbon-free electric power by 2030. Thank you for this opportunity to address you, and enjoy your holidays.
Thank you. Teresa Wong, followed by Simon Anjic, then Sam Burnt, then Jamie Scott.
Hi, my name is Teresa. Again, it's nice to stand up and stretch, even if it's for a minute and a half. I was in the room during the momentous November 5th Municipal Services Committee meeting, where it was determined that the OSP final draft would require several revisions before its final approval. Now, after almost 3 years, I might actually bear witness to the fruits of the blood, sweat, and tears that everyone and so many more in this room have invested in this draft. But we cannot serve an unripe fruit. It is essential that the permissible size of solar installation is increased to 200% of the previous load, and that there are specific references to solar and storage projects in the next capital improvement project budget. I've also said this before, but I'm aiming to be a teacher for PUSD, and I think it's phenomenal that we are considering energy partnerships with PUSD and other institutions. I sincerely hope that in the next couple of years, I can bear witness to a carbon-free Pasadena, and I hope that I can fondly look back and reminisce about all the time I dedicated involving myself with Pasadena 100 and you all. And I also hope that after these implementations that I just mentioned, we will finally be able to savor the bountiful harvest that we have cultivated. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Simon Anjusic, I'm sorry about the last name, followed by Sam Burnt, then Jamie Scott, then Felix Brendan. Please say your last name so I can hear it.
Good evening. My name is Simon Anushchik.
Thank you.
I'm a PhD student at Caltech, in case that wasn't clear, and a resident of District 7. and a member of Pasadena 100. I hope to have a future in Pasadena, and Pasadena's leadership in getting off of dirty electric power means a lot to me personally and to my generation. This goal is achievable technically, and it's prudent economically. The power of sun is free after an initial investment of infrastructure, but we must have a greater sense of urgency. PWP has kept putting things off, and it seems like they hope that we'll fail at this 2028 waypoint. The OSP, while has many improvements, still doesn't have specifics about incentives and programs. And I'm excited to hear that those are coming, but we all want to see the specifics. No specifics about how to make it easy for customers to install solar and/or storage. And the only incentives mentioned are for low-income ratepayers to borrow money for storage. This is not realistic for the transition that we need. PWP has also been postponing outreach and public education now for more than a year, always saying that they're in favor, but can't start until the incentives are decided. But then these incentives are not included in the OSP. I urge you to please adopt this OSP, but make sure that it's followed up quickly with specific programs to help accelerate this transition. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Sam Berndt, followed by Jamie Scott, then Felix Brendan, then Cynthia Kennedy, then Rex Mayrillis, and then Yadi.
Hello, my name is Sam Berndt. I want to start by making a clarifying point. This document was intended to be a $1.5 million plan with a timeline and milestones to get us to carbon-free electricity by 2030. I'm frankly aghast at the 11th hour reframing of it as a framework, and I question how we can hold ourselves accountable to this mandate using this language. It's important that we use this incredible feat of a planning document to set ourselves on a path that goes beyond commitment and planning, but towards successful execution. 2 years ago, this council concluded that a major flaw in the IRP was that it backloaded too many resources by planning to install an unrealistic amount of resources in the final year. The result of such is why we are here today. The problem of backloading is again prominent in the OSP. For example, this year, PWP projects residents will install 3 megawatts of solar, but in 2030 alone, they project that there will be 15 megawatts installed, a 500% increase in 5 years per year. Forward-leaning policies that can lead to a steeper ramp-up in adoption and thus more realistic year-to-year installations would be a welcome improvement to this plan. A similar issue is seen with municipal solar. For example, the first round of installations will not even be completed until 2028, and even then, there is a self-limiting cap of up to 4 projects per year. Should we lift these caps and plan for adequate investment up front, the many unionized IBEW workers and solar installers of Pasadena would jump at such an opportunity. According to the OSP, municipal solar is the most equitable form of solar, and we have more than enough capacity as a city alone to meet our requirements. If we want to be realistic and equitable about achieving these goals, the city should seriously consider maximizing the adoption of municipal solar and do it in the upcoming 5-year capital improvements budget. By doing so, and by front-loading our investments and implementation plan, we will be setting ourselves on a path towards equitably achieving the goal of 100% carbon-free electricity by 2030. Thank you.
Thank you. Jamie Scott, followed by Felix Brendan, then Cynthia Kennedy, then Rex Mayrillis, and then Yadi.
Oh, good evening, everyone. Hope you guys are doing okay. My name's Jamie Scott. I'm a resident of District 6, and I was born here in Pasadena somehow, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth. So I'm here to comment on the OSP's need for a well-developed incentive and public education program on DER. So this whole issue of backloading and waiting till the end to kind of get things done and figure them out is, that's one of the problems here with these programs, as my pal in the orange sweatshirt from Caltech just mentioned to you. So the staff is recommending development of new incentives, outreach, and financing options that support customer rooftop solar, and a clear plan for reaching those goals, though, is pretty much missing at this point. So for example, there's new demand response reduction. There's no education on that until after smart metering, but then there's this issue of smart metering might get put off somehow. And so that means that would get put off. And so why don't we just start educating people about DER right now and pushing it, getting it on the radio. We hear about PWP on the radio all the time. And similarly, there's a low-interest loan program that's supposed to be for low-income people. Why not make it for everybody? The point is to maximize the installation of solar. Let's get it out there. And again, in the end, the more solar that's in now will save us money in the future. Thank you so much.
Felix Brendan.
Oh, I'm Felix Braden.
Sorry.
Spelled with an E, pronounced with a long A. But thank you. And as many of us have talked about, there's a lot of really good plans in the OSP, and that they'll get us to our goal of 100% carbon-free by 2030. But when I was thinking about my remarks tonight, I realized, there's a more urgent plan, which is to immediately quit putting greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. And I bring that up particularly to focus on the adoption of municipal solar. And in the OSP, it doesn't start till 2028, and I really don't understand why. Things like, putting solar on municipal parking lots, on municipal buildings, that has so many advantages. It's understood, well worked out technology. As soon as we put the investment in, we start reaping economic benefits, and we can start using some of that money to fund lower income residential solar. The mayor brought up economics, but as the utility rates go up, the adoption of solar only becomes more economically beneficial. So I just think we need a sense of urgency, and we should start tomorrow. We don't need 2 years to plan which is the best parking lot to put these structures on. I think we just take, some of the bigger parking lots, put them on there. And it takes money, but there's a lot of money for these external projects, which are good, but we also need to put the investment in locally that we own. So thank you very much.
Cynthia,
Good evening.
Sorry. Cynthia Kennedy, go ahead.
Thank you. We do support the OSP, and we're glad that we finally gotten to this point after all of this time. But I've got to say I have a couple of reservations that are very important to point out. One is the OSP does not say enough, and it is not unequivocal enough, that our goal is 100% carbon-free electric power based on an hourly metric. What it says very clearly is we're going to see what we can do about the annual metric, and then in 2028, we'll see what happens. That's not the way to plan. We need to have a clear goal. Like my dear friend from the League of Women Voters said, this is a moonshot. We have to focus. We can't keep one foot in the past and then try to keep walking ahead. So I think it's very important that a clear statement be included in the OSP. I hear all of it right now, but 2 years from now, we're not going to be in this room. We're going to be looking at a document. So it's important to say it in the document. Interestingly, the staff report does say it, but the staff report is not the plan. So that's my request, just to be clearer in the document so that there's no question, what is our goal? And that way we can be united and move forward. Of course, you can always reassess. Everybody knows that. We can reassess if it's not working out, but let's not start by saying the goal is annual and we'll sort of reassess later. And then I'm just concerned about urgency. I agree with everything that's been said by my friends and colleagues in Pasadena 100. We need to get started. The public education campaign, I remember we had a meeting where we were supposed to be talking about public education last year. And then it was all put off because we didn't know the incentives. Now we're talking about hiring a consultant. Oh my God, another consultant? Don't we know what the incentives are after all this time?
Ms. Kennedy, your time has expired.
Please, let's be serious.
Thank you,
Let's move ahead while we still have time.
Thank you, Ms.
We
Kennedy.
are the community of
Ms.
the Eden Fire, for God's sake.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy.
Rex, I'm sorry, Rex Mayrelis?
May Rice, yes, hi.
Thank you.
My name is Rex May Rice. I live in District 1, and I got a very wonderful email today saying that our solar system has been accepted, and now they're going to put up the solar meter, and that's the next step. And I guess that's going to take a couple of weeks, so we're trying to get in before the wire of the end of the year. Thanks to all the council members, particularly the Municipal Services Committee I've been to some meetings now, and I see that you're pushing hard. I agree with Cynthia that we can't coast, that there's still more to do and some, hard work to do. But so there is some good news that things are happening, and I'm glad to hear that you're looking for other ways to get incentives to help make the solar process happen, because that's very important. And this is something that all residents can help out with to get us on the right path with carbon emissions. So thank you very much.
Yadi?
Hi, without taking away from anything that the folks have said before, I want to thank PWP and the council for their continued work on this incredibly challenging OSP. Important problems are tough to work through, and a special thanks to PWP for their reporting materials and the accomplishments, which illuminates the great efforts PWP has taken to create awareness and increase in community engagement. I've personally been impressed by the presentations given by staff at outreach events, and their great strides in making this complicated topic engaging and informative for the general public, and I do appreciate the continued dialogue.
Thank you. All right, and that completes public comment on item 18. Making sure, yes.
One question, in terms of providers of installation companies, the people who will do the work, are we able to regulate in any way with performance standards to ensure that residents are getting the service that they contract for? I'd like to, while you answer that, I'd like staff to pull up some pictures. I actually had the pictures from my installer. This is, you can see on my, this was the shading issue that they highlighted. And they literally said to me that I had a shading issue. Now, go back to the previous slide. It's not just the arborist, it's the clouds, is my point. And the sun doesn't stay in one position. And so it's not necessarily a shading issue. I think in many ways it's bad faith on the part of the company to go out, take pictures on a day like this and say, this is the issue. So I think we've got to, so the question is, can we have performance standards? Can we have, some level of regulation or enforcement?
So the
You
contract.
can't get rid of the clouds or the trees, and the sun doesn't stand.
That's not on the install.
Isn't stagnant, isn't just sitting in one spot. But the question refers not to the sun and the clouds, as was pointed out to me, was the problem. It's the time that it took them to get out there to even take that picture and look at the problem and fix the equipment. And so
So it's a private contract between a property owner and their contractor, just like you do a remodel. We have building code standards that we hold contractors to when they're doing additions. And we have certain standards with respect to how the installation is put in. But we don't have the performance standards that guarantee, that's again between the private property owner and the contractor. I would say that it appears that the technology is getting much better, Mayor. And what I think is really going to help out, shading is a real issue. Like that's a real issue, and that's taken into consideration when we look at the total numbers. But the recommended increase that MSC made from 150 to 200%, I think, is going to satisfy the issues that you would have. I think that the install that you had is probably based on old regulations and probably is the minimal
Yeah.
amount that you would be able to get more today, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Councilmember Jones.
Mr. Jones.
Thanks, Mayor. I would just like to make a motion to approve the staff recommendation as long as it includes MSC's recommendations and add the resolution to, I guess, the opening page or somewhere in the document, the actual text of the resolution. And then I believe this is mentioned in the OSP, but just to document it that you'll have quarterly updates to MSC to evaluate progress.
Second.
Can I choose?
Okay. I okay. So it's been motioned and seconded. And are there any objections? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't see. Mr. Madison, followed by Mr. Lyon, Ms. Rivas, and then Mr. Cole.
So Mayor, I just want to make sure, is the language that I think MSC unanimously adopted about the hourly basis by 2030, that is in the OSP?
It's in the OSP, it's not in the resolution, right?
So we two things. One is we heard very clearly that we need to reference and then add the actual resolution to the OSP, and we can do that. We believe that the hourly goal is stated. I know the presentation is no longer up, but identified the page numbers that it was on. And if that's actually what I'll say is that I hear that the direction to make it extremely clear that the goal is to be hourly. The carbon-free goal is to be measured on the hourly basis. And so staff will go back and look. And again, this is, we identify it, we believe on page 7, page 9, and then from the report itself on page 65, that we're looking at the 100% hourly goal. So we think we've captured it. We'll look again to make sure that it's captured exactly as the council has directed here. And then we'll make sure that we include a copy of the resolution within the document itself.
And that's by 2030?
That's correct.
Okay. Then another question, apropos of the mayor's comments, I agree. I think it would be helpful to have a roster of approved vendors. Now, I understand the reluctance of the city generally to intrude in that relationship between the resident and the contractor. There's potential legal liability for endorsing someone that doesn't show up or what have you. I think this would be a good exception to make to that, and there'd have to be clear language around what we're saying and what we're not, clearly the terms of the contractor between you all. But I just know that we see so many things in life, the resident only has one experience. Our staff, in terms of permitting, and your department and planning as well probably, they have thousands of interactions, and they can tell when vendors are responsive and diligent and just tend to have fewer problems perhaps than others. So maybe that's part of the incentive program or the education, but I would certainly support a move in that direction.
I would welcome that. I think, we have it for haulers, for example. We have approved haulers. And here we're talking about, power and infrastructure. And some of these will have to tap into our infrastructure. And so I think we'd be remiss if we didn't have some level of review and approval for vendors who are going to be working on our infrastructure. That's the point I'm trying to draw out is, my experience is not one I want people to have. And so I think to the extent that staff can, help residents out by, like we do with haulers, and have approved vendors, that would go a long ways.
Yeah, it's every time, I think, there has to be privity with water and power. I don't think there's a case where we have a solar power that isn't scrubbed by Water and Power and connects to the grid and all.
Yep.
And then I intend to support the motion, and I'm grateful the maker is including the resolution. I think that's really important. And really grateful to staff, grateful to Pasadena 100. They have really been leaders on this. I recall a press conference where I think there were two or three of us there, and it's just so great to have the unanimous support of the full council. You know, we signed on to the United Nations Green Cities Accords and the climate goals over 20 years ago, but this is really a substantial step that should mark us again as the leader that we are. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lyon, followed by Ms. Rivas.
Thank you, Mayor. Just very briefly, to further to that point, this idea of the preferred provider is something we've talked about in MSC several times now. It not only does it allow us to give some measure of reassurance to our constituents, our residents who want to add solar, it may also give us the ability to leverage economies of scale and negotiate rates that are lower than they would be for the individual. So that's a part of, we're expecting to see that back in the incentive program. Thanks.
Okay. Ms. Rivas, followed by Mr. Cole.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, on this point of having a list of providers, I don't know if it'd be great. I think if we had, hey, here are the A+ providers we know work well. Short of that, I don't know if we could provide ratings or give a thumbs up or thumbs down on anyone, but just having that data about who has been applying for permits, what maybe the rates of rejections or approvals are, how timely they are, how long it takes, that sort of basic data. Again, going through this recently, we heard word of mouth about someone, but it would have been amazing just to see a list on the PWP website. Here's the 10 that are active in the last year or so and how many permits they've been issued and whatnot. But that would be extremely helpful data for folks to have, which I'm assuming we have, and just need to get it out there in a way that's helpful for people to access. That'd be really great for people to have. And Mayor, I understand you're probably at a disadvantage because the previous owner of your home went through this process and you're just stuck with whatever they chose. But our experience went really well. They were able to determine, look at where the trees were, let us know cloud cover during certain points of the year is going to be higher or lower. It was a really collaborative process, taking into account aesthetics, of course, whether we want to be in the front or the back or the side. So our experience recently has been really great. The installation took 2 days. The longest part of it was waiting on the city, which I understand we're making improvements on. And so I don't want to cast shade on the city staff. I know they've got a lot on their plates, but I understand they've also been working even faster to improve those processes as well. So I want to thank them for working even harder than they already have been. So thank you.
Yeah, all of that was done. They went out and placed it and did all that. But again, it's the cloudy day that they are using as a measure. So having an approved list also allows us to track complaints. And if, like we do with haulers, if haulers aren't following the rules or receiving too many complaints, then we have potentially some recourse to remove them from the approved hauler list. I think we should.
Or they get on a bad list, or they
yeah,
they have lots of issues.
If we receive resident complaints,
yeah.
Right now complaints go nowhere. You're at the mercy on infrastructure, important infrastructure. Residents are at the mercy of the industry, the companies, and I just think because it's infrastructure and it ties into our into the grid, into our infrastructure, we should have an approved vendor list.
Absolutely, and that's why it takes so much time for staff to do all this, to make sure everything is done appropriately and perfectly and safely, and it integrates well with our systems.
And so I think I want more than that, but it sounds like preferred vendor or an approved vendor list would be an appropriate start.
Be very helpful, absolutely.
But everything you described was done at my house as well.
Yeah, and you said in 2014 though, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, yeah. Okay. Mr. Cole, followed by Mr. Madison. No? Okay, Mr. Cole.
Thank you, Mayor. A question for clarification, and then I'd like to make a statement. The question, Mr. Reyes, is for clarity. You're going to bring forward shortly feed-in tariff and some other incentives to make solar more attractive, especially in light of the sunset of at least the direct residential. I'm told that for the next 3 years, if a bank lends money, that the credits can be collected by the bank, and so there's ways in which that can bring down the price. That is not yet phased. The financing mechanism is not phased out for another 3 years. I don't know whether that's fact, but that's what I've been told. So we are going to move forward on pieces of solar incentive right away because we're ready. What about a more comprehensive approach before 2028 about how we're going to get to 50 megawatts of private solar?
I think it's a good question, Mr. Cole, and I want to be clear for the public so that they understand. It actually takes time to release an RFP. We have certain rules in the city for procurement. We're going to release that RFP next month. Actually, by the end of January, it'll be released for the first round. People were talking about like, hey, just go to the nearest parking lot or what. We're going to actually release that RFP for community scale solar within the next month. It'll take a minute to go through the procurement process, and then there's an installation process. And so what we've identified within the OSP is that by 2028, the first round will be done, installed, and ready to go. We're not waiting for 2028. We're doing this now. We're doing all the work now.
That's a different question, but go ahead. That's helpful.
I think that's part of the answer, at least as I understand the question about the looking at the CIP and what the total plan is moving forward, so that we're front loading as opposed to back loading. I think that what we're looking at, and this is a reality, that ultimately the city council will have to approve our CIP, but we're looking at $90 million over the next several years for community scale solar. And so that's going to be part of our CIP. It may not be in this CIP, but we'll have some discussion on it. And we're looking at what that looks like to the ratepayer. So we want to make sure that we're being thoughtful about being realistic about moving forward with respect to our goals, but also making sure that the community as well as the city council have an understanding of what the impact is of those decisions. And so we are being very thoughtful about the capital improvement program. And Councilmember Cole, that's where we plan to have most of this reside. And so you're going to see some of that very, very shortly. And what we believe that it's going to be extremely expensive to do the community scale solar, but we want to release that RFP and actually get the numbers back from the proposed contractors so that the council and the community can understand what that is. And so before we start trying to come up with some numbers that we actually don't have any data to back it up, we want to release that first RFP, and then that's going to be very informative for us. We're not waiting. We're doing that now. The incentives are going to come back by the end of February. And so we are moving, and there's slides that are within this presentation that show a massive amount of work by PWP that gets us forward. So we're not waiting around. We are trying to be comprehensive about getting to that 50 megawatts. And we'll share more of that with MSC as we move forward. Councilmember Cole.
That raises a question, since you focused on this RFP. What are the potential ways? I know we went on battery with a lease arrangement. Are we open to us buying, leasing, or financing? Any of those, all three of those?
Yeah, everything. And the battery energy storage project at Glen Arm, the 25 megawatts, we have an initial lease. After 5 years, we're able to purchase. And we're looking at all those options to see what makes the most sense for the city. With respect to the community scale solar on either parking lots or roofs, we also will build in opportunities for us to actually own. So we will procure, we will pay for it, and we'd like to own and get that energy directly. But we want to make sure what makes the most sense for the city. So we're open to it all.
Right. Mayor, I know that we didn't want to take a lot of time on this, and I know that an enormous amount of work has gone into this effort, and I join my colleagues in thanking our staff, our technical advisory panel, and the citizens who've worked so hard on this. And I want to thank Chair Jones. I think he's done a remarkable job over the last year of leading the MSC, and I think the fact that we have think that we have, the fact that we have a unanimous vote here is indicative that we've done a good job on the Municipal Services Committee. Look, last month was a remarkable achievement that we haven't talked about at all. LA has talked about it, but Los Angeles and the Southern California Public Power Partners, who have been burning coal since 1987 and have been supplying the single largest source of power to the city of Pasadena, stopped burning coal last month. We no longer have coal in our portfolio. Now, it's not a switch to carbon-free, it's a switch to natural gas, but what that is, what our climate action plan says is that 80% of our municipally generated carbon emissions came from that single source. So while we're not going from 80% to zero, we're not cutting 80%, we're dramatically reducing the single largest source of greenhouse gas emissions, and that happened last month. So that's a huge step forward, and I think we ought to recognize that we are on the path. And that goes to the point you've raised, Mayor, and I think we all share it. Certainly all of us on the MSC are very concerned about affordability. And by the way, we are not taking for granted a 9.5% increase. We're giving that strict scrutiny. But the reality is that over the next 5 and 10 years, the cheapest path for Pasadena and the planet is to move to renewable. And the reason is we're going to run out of easily affordable fossil fuels. We continue to, drill deeper into the ocean, go further into, the Alaska wilderness, to go into unstable countries, to drill for oil and to mine for coal. But the reality is that locally based renewable energy, the point was made, we don't have to buy it to supply it to people. If people put it on their roofs, that's free to the utility. So we're actually reducing that peak demand, which is the most expensive, that last 1%, that last 10%, by the more we incentivize our own residential, commercial, and institutional partners to supply their own energy at affordable rates to them, the cheaper it will be for us to achieve our goal, and the cheaper the rates will be to our residents. In 1962, President John Kennedy spoke at Rice University, and he said, "We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard, because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win, and the others too." I was, I think, 17 years old when I watched Neil Armstrong take his first step on the moon in 1969, a year ahead of the deadline that President Kennedy, at the time, no one thought it was possible to get to the moon in 7 years, but we did a year early. At this stage, the PWP understands that we don't have a clear path to 100% hourly, but we will get there. And we will get there because it is hard. In this PSP, there are 9 references to aggressive and 11 references to ambitious, right? So we keep telling ourselves that this is aggressive and ambitious. I would use a different word, and that word is responsible. And so it is with great pleasure that I support this motion. I appreciate my colleagues on the MSC. I appreciate Mr. Madison and Vice Mayor Rivas's championing of this goal at every turn. And I think we are not only going to achieve this goal and do a favor for our planet and for us because we live on this planet, but I also think that this is the least expensive path for the future for our ratepayers. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cole. And let's hope you're right. Now, did you put up a slide?
Yeah, we were just showing the accomplishments and also acknowledging what Councilmember Cole, this is right in the middle of the slide. Cole retired in 11/26/2025, so we no longer have any coal sources within the city of Pasadena. I also wanted, Mayor, if I could, just very quickly take the opportunity to thank Kelly Nguyen, our AGM, for Power Supply for championing this. Her and her team did a wonderful job with this project.
Absolutely.
Deserve a lot of credit.
Thank you. But I do think it's worth noting that, Pasadena has consistently, as the slide states, outpaced state mandates for renewable energy. You want to just go through quickly?
Yeah, Kelly, you wanted to go through this? This is a 10-year history of Pasadena's leadership on green energy.
Sure. So in 2015, the Pasadena City Council set a voluntary renewable portfolio standard goal of 40% by 2020, when the goal was to achieve 33% by 2020, according to the state mandate. So we reached, we exceeded that goal with 40%. And then in 2018, PWP made the pivotal decision not to renew participation in the Intermountain Power Project beyond 2027. That eliminates the single largest source of carbon emissions, which IPP the coal resource just retired 11/26/25. And therefore, we ended up procuring 300 plus megawatts or $1.2 billion in commitment to long-term energy contracts for carbon-free energy, excuse me. And so furthering this commitment, on December 11, 2023, the Pasadena City Council unanimously approved PWP's 2023 Power IRP, and that incorporated Resolution 9977 goals. And those accomplishments already put Pasadena on track to meet the state's mandate goal 15 years ahead, which will put us around 92% on an hourly basis.
Thank you. I think that shows a strong history of Pasadena's leadership. And I remember the decision in 2018. I remember them all, but particularly the one in 2018 was not without controversy because, people said, we shouldn't cancel those contracts, but we wanted to be leaders and encourage the industry to transition. And that's why we did it. And so what Mr. Cole is talking about was part of Pasadena's strategy to, do its part as a leader. And so I congratulate the staff. I congratulate everyone for their efforts. Okay, with that, Mr. Hampton.
Just briefly, and I appreciate Councilmember Cole mentioning, LA being out of coal as well as Pasadena. We still have some coal here, and it's clean coal though. It's clean coal. Do you guys remember those commercials, clean coal? Like clean coal, what is that? It doesn't exist. But we have some right across from me. No, I also want to thank Pasadena 100 and also, for the constant encouragement for the whole entire council, most in particular those that I heard from all the time regularly, at least once a week, it seems like. Sam, Cynthia, and Denise, I want to thank all of y'all for the constant encouragement. I also want to thank PWP staff, David and Kelly. Kelly, I'm sure you got it all. You got the spectrum of good, downs, ups, downs, and good again. And so I want to thank you for continuing to stick with us and stick through this whole entire process. Your work means the world to the city, and as our colleagues and community members have mentioned, to our environment. So thank you. I also want to thank Justin Jones, our chair of MSC. Councilmember Cole, thank you. I did give you a round of applause in your face. I wanted to let you know that I appreciate you and I appreciate the work for us to get to this point a year later. So thank you, and to the whole community. So I'm ready to vote on this.
Okay.
This is
Again, thank you, Kelly, Mr. Reyes, and all PWP staff, and Mr. Jones for ably leading this. So with that, there's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Cole?
Yes.
Councilmember Hampton?
yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Lyon?
Yes.
Councilmember Madison?
Yes.
Councilmember Masuda is absent. Vice Mayor Rivas?
Yes.
Mayor Gordo?
Yes.
The motion is unanimously approved.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mayor.
Okay. Okay. Next, we'll IPA.
So we're going to do item 21. It's the annual report by the independent police auditor.
Ms. Jones? Welcome.
Yes, we have Esprit Jones, who's the chair of the Community Police Oversight Commission, and
Thank you
she
for
will
this.
introduce this item.
Thank you, Michelle. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members who are remaining. I'm sure some folks are moving around in the back. I wanted to take this brief opportunity to show my gratitude for you hearing from us this evening. I did have to step out of our meeting on Thursday for my daughter's winter concert, so I did miss most of Teresa's presentation, but I am excited to listen to it with you all. And yeah, without further ado, Teresa Magula.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. I am Teresa Magula. I am your city's independent police auditor. I come from OIR Group. OIR Group is a team of 4 consultants. We are not new to your city, so our team did evaluations of officer-involved shootings dating back to 2009, and we did 3 prior to being selected as your official independent police auditor. We are grateful to be able to have continuity of our work since 2009, and a lot of the recommendations that were made in those early reports have carried through to present day. So we appreciate the opportunity to continue in service to this community. One of the things that I wanted to introduce is the municipal code, both for members of this council as well as for members of community who may be listening in. The authority of the IPA here in your city is fairly extensive, but want to make sure that it's understood that ultimate determinations related to any findings of officer misconduct or critical incidents are within the realm of our very capable chief of police. And so as an IPA, I have the ability to review cases, to serve as a best practice advisor to the CPOC, and to provide recommendations. But it is ultimately not within my scope of work to be able to provide any definitive findings. Those live with the chief of police, as is the case with the jurisdictions here in California for final authority related to disciplinary matters. I have a few select slides that have an overview of my work since being selected and starting work in January of 2025. I'll present those first, and then at the pleasure of the council, given the late hour, we can select certain slides if you'd like to pull them for me to speak more, or we can move straight to questions if you have specific matters that you have questions about. So the IPA services that I've done since 2025 January, I've reviewed completed investigations by the Pasadena Police Department. I've been invited to and observed all of their review boards, and these involve critical incidents, vehicle pursuits, any allegations of misconduct, and any use of force. So I'm sitting in on all of those sessions. I've made recommendations for systemic improvement. Some of the items are, for example, establishing a mediation program, a community police mediation program between the city, the police department, and its community. That has been spearheaded by CPOC staff person Shannon Pryor, and so we are very grateful to have her work in spearheading that program. And currently, the city is in the process of authoring an RFP to select a vendor for providing those services to the city. We have done some systemic improvement recommendations related to traffic stops and the collection of data under the Racial Identity and Profiling Act here in California, which relates to collecting information about the types of stops that are occurring here within your city. We do review additional topics as are requested by the CPOC and their various ad hoc committees. So, for example, we are currently undergoing a review of the department's response to persons who are experiencing mental health crises. That is as a result of an ad hoc committee request. And we are reviewing technology developments and the policies related to those. That is a result of both the ad hoc committee as well as this council's requests that the CPOC weigh in on those types of decisions. And finally, we've done quite a lot of community engagement. That is both for transparency, for the work of my particular office as well as CPOC, and for access for individuals who may not be comfortable coming to the police department directly. The IPA is an opportunity to file complaints or concerns or challenges that they may have experienced. Overall impressions and findings of PPD. In the year that I've been here, as well as in the work that I did prior to being selected as the IPA, I noted that the Pasadena Police Department has an incredibly strong commitment to accountability, transparency, and continuous improvement. The systems that they have in place for reviewing critical incidents, vehicle pursuits, misconduct, and uses of force are incredibly robust. So the things that they measure and that they review are done in a very methodical way. There's certainly room for improvement across some of them, but we have seen that that commitment is there. They've made a lot of progress among the recommendations that have been previously, both by my group as well as by my predecessors, Mr. Maxey and Dr. Rosenthal. I note that they are collaborative and engaged, both with my office as well as with the CPOC. It's indicated by the fact that Chief and his command staff regularly attend every CPOC meeting. They have open engagement with me. They answer my very persistent and repeated questions, and so I appreciate that engagement. That is not always the case with a body like the CPOC or office like an IPA. In experience in other jurisdictions, that kind of collaboration and responsiveness is not always there. So it's much appreciated and noted here. Wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't notice that there were areas for continued growth in this department. And some of those relate around some of the processes that the department engages in for review. So really looking at consistency and documentation. Mostly that is around the idea of record keeping. So the department has quite a lot of institutional knowledge in their command staff and leadership. If those individuals were to depart, which we would wish them very well, if they chose to, we'd hate to lose them. But certainly we'd want to retain that kind of institutional knowledge in a more systematic way. So we've made some recommendations related to that occurring. I did a review of the vehicle pursuits here in your city. Noted that there was an opportunity at this point in time for both the department as well as city leadership to take a look at the pursuit philosophy of your city. What would this city like to look like in terms of the spectrum of opportunities for vehicle pursuits, balancing risk and reward, public safety, and the challenges related to vehicle pursuits. There were a number of previous audits conducted, as I said, both by OIR Group as well as my predecessor, Dr. Rosenthal. Those previous audits made a number of recommendations that we are continuing to track to ensure that those don't fall by the wayside. So ensure that the department acknowledges and implements those that they feel are appropriate for the city and for the department. And finally, as I mentioned, there's enhanced data collection around traffic stops, as is a state mandate, and collaboration around new technology, and in specific, the policies related to that new technology. And again, that's something that came out of both the CPOC as well as this council. And finally, I'll give you just an overview of recommendations to date. There have been 59 recommendations over the course of this calendar year. A number of those came from the reports that we've issued. You'll see down at the bottom, the majority of those come from a use of force review that is currently in draft form, so that number of 31 is subject to change. But overall, what's most interesting is in that third column, the recommendations that have been implemented, and the fourth column, the recommendations that are in progress. So you see that quite a lot of them have been either already implemented or are in progress. This is really a testament to the department's commitment to accountability, that this has happened with a lot of velocity. I started in January, and the majority of them have already happened. There's a column here called Agree in Concept, and I want to provide some clarity around that because it can seem unsatisfying or perhaps confusing. The idea behind Agree in Concept, as I understand it, is that the department agrees with the general philosophy or the ideas behind the recommendations. But for whatever reason, whether those be procedural or conditional on contracting or memorandum of understanding, they're unable to implement those at this time. So it's not a no, it's not a disagree. You'll see that column's empty. But it is that at this moment, the department is unable to implement those recommendations. And I'll give you a real concrete example just to solidify it for understanding. OIR Group, as well as Dr. Rosenthal, have made recommendations related to officers being allowed to watch their body-worn camera footage prior to providing a statement after a critical incident. There is a sort of debate nationwide about whether or not that is a best practice. And we have fallen regularly on the side that it is not. We would prefer to see officers provide a clean statement without watching body-worn camera footage. However, there is that ability is in the current MOU with the union at the moment, with the Pasadena Police Association's contract. And so that concept, even though the department may agree with the idea, is something that they can't implement at this time until that contract is opened for negotiation and is potentially an item that could be considered. So that's a real concrete example of where that agree in concept comes into play. So I can go into detail about any one of those items that I've looked at over the course of the year. Happy to entertain and answer any comments or questions that you all may have. And certainly the slide deck has more information, and happy to pull up any particular slide if you would like to speak to it.
Thank you for the report. It's good to hear your work is continuing and our department is collaborative. That's precisely what we intended. And so thank you. Mr. Cole, followed by Ms. Rivas.
So there was a major breakdown in collection of RIPA data a couple of years ago now, I think. And you made reference to recommendations. Can you flesh out a little bit more about what those recommendations are? And the chief has assured, at least me, that problem has been rectified, and I wanted to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Councilmember Cole. So you're correct. In the last annual report that the chief provided, there was a breakdown in the ability of the department to collect that data in a timely way. And certainly it had an impact on the CPOC's ability to make really concrete recommendations around the concept of traffic stops. We did not have data for understanding who was being stopped in the city, or to be able to understand if there was disproportionate treatment in any statistical or empirical way. My understanding, as is yours, is that that has improved over the course of the year. I think the real test will come when we dive back into an analysis of that RIPA data. It is something that the CPOC recommended. that the department provide that data for analysis to my office, and we will take a look at both adherence with the state law for data collection, as well as the types of stops that are occurring within the city and be able to report out. So that's something that we're looking forward to in calendar year 26.
And I might just add, just for clarification for the public, RIPA is RIPA, which is the Racial Identity Profiling Act.
Correct.
So I just wanted to clarify that for the public.
Thank you.
We don't, Mr. Mayor, we don't have very much opportunity to talk about police department policy. And I would just want to raise an issue that I've raised to the city manager and see whether it can be pursued either by the CPOC, the independent auditor, or the chief. And that is, I've watched in the year that I've been on the council, both the response and the evolution of the response of our police department to the escalation in civil protests. An escalation primarily in size and frequency. Pasadena's always had unions out on strike. Pasadena's always had people coming out to demonstrate. But clearly, given what's happening in our nation, the size, we had 5,000 people in front of City Hall for No King's Day. We've had many, many activities in response to the ICE raids. And I fear that we may have a continued escalation in the scale and frequency of those events. And I've been impressed with our police department's evolution. I think at first they were fairly unprepared for this kind of occurrence. And in my view, created a sense of over-policing, particularly in response to demonstrations about ICE raids and having a lot of uniform presence to people who are afraid of uniform presence, you know, sends inadvertently the wrong message. And I think that the police department responded remarkably sensitively to that concern, which was certainly not raised primarily by me, but by other folks in the community. And so I'm appreciative. The department, which was not prepared, not because of any fault of theirs, just that this was a new set of challenges. They deal with all kinds of ongoing challenges, and this was new in this, again, in this, the scale and the frequency. We have been fortunate in this city not to have had violent demonstrations, but circumstances beyond our control may bring us to the edge of violence. The murder of George Floyd resulted in property damage and loss of life, you know, in other communities. And we never quite know what's going to happen given the volatility. And I would hope that there's thought going on about training and preparation, which is not about deploying our Bearcat, but really is about de-escalation, is about appropriately working with folks who are determined to demonstrate peaceably to increase that. Two things, you know, I have been responsible over 20 years for supervising police departments, and so I am deeply aware of the balance that they need to play in these sensitive issues. They have a responsibility to uphold the law and to protect life and property. They also have an opportunity to do that in a way that is most likely to result in a positive outcome, and those are sometimes decisions that have to be made in real time and are not easy to second guess. But I can tell you from, again, personal experience within the last year that I watched the LAPD turn a peaceful demonstration into a completely a high level of confrontation and violence. And LAPD, not deliberately, but by their tactics, caused disturbances that have had, really unfortunate echoes. And so, again, I hope that we are taking this issue seriously. We have to focus on crime. That is our number one issue. But I think we're going to see this challenge squarely in the lap of our police department, like school shootings, like earthquakes, like other things. We hope they don't happen. But we know that they do happen. We hope they don't happen here, but we need to be prepared here for those eventualities. So I don't know whether this belongs with the city manager, with the police chief, with the oversight commission, or with you, or maybe all of the above. But I do think that's an important consideration that I would like to see on our agenda in the months ahead.
The police department did a tremendous job both during the demonstrations involving George Floyd and then the immigration raids. And I heard from every corner of this community that it was handled very professionally, very sensitively, as you point out. And so again, want to thank the police chief, the deputy chief, and all of the Pasadena Police Department members, both civilian and sworn, for doing an outstanding job during these most difficult of times. And I think they should continue the planning. And I'm certain they learned some lessons. One of the difficulties that I've come to understand over a quarter century of public service is, it's one thing to give direction, it's another thing to ask that strategy be shared with us. And so there's a fine line there. And so I be careful, and I'm not saying you're not, Mr. Cole, but I'm just suggesting that, we understand that strategy belongs with the police department, and probably a sensitive topic for us to discuss publicly. So with that caveat, I support, the direction to ask the police department to continue to build on that great showing of sensitivity while enforcing the law.
I appreciate that, and I don't want to belabor this. I just want to again say, it's for the first time in my lifetime, I can imagine a coup in Washington, D.C. For the first time in my lifetime, I can imagine National Guard's troops being deployed to our streets, not because we need them, but because of some political agenda by the national administration. Again, I hope that neither of those or any other plausible scenarios eventuate, but we're now in uncharted territory, at least for my lifetime, of these kind of things. And when there are actions, there are reactions. And the first principle of risk management is the predictable is preventable. We may or may not have a big one. We may or may not have a terrorist incident at the Rose Bowl. We may or may not have, but we need to know that our police department is prepared for those kind of situations. And then there's the things that no one can predict, which is no one predicted that airplanes would deliberately crash into high-rise buildings. But again, a general sense of how you prepare for the unexpected is something with the city of our reputation, our prominence, with the World Cup and the Olympics coming to our town. I think we have to be super prepared.
Absolutely. Chief, I saw you leaning forward. Did you want to add anything?
No, I was just adjusting my seat, Mr. Mayor, but thank you for the opportunity, and I do appreciate it.
I normally take that as a cue that somebody wants to speak. Ms. Rivas, you're in the queue, so
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'll be pretty brief, and I want to thank you and Councilmember Cole for raising the demonstrations we saw throughout the last year. And I've just been so proud at how our department has handled them. They've been very dynamic and difficult situations to deal with, and I always felt that every officer was just working to get everyone home safe, looking out for everyone, looking out for the good of the community. And I was just so proud to see that throughout this past year. So I want to thank the department for that. And I want to thank our new IPA. Welcome to the city. We haven't had a chance to meet, and that's probably my fault, but we should, at some point, talk a little bit more. I'd like to get to know you more, and I appreciate all the work you've done over the last year.
Thank you.
And I just really appreciate your presentation. It's been really heartening to hear how committed our department is to accountability and transparency, that you're seeing it just in the short time you've been here, that it's immediately apparent. And so I'm just so grateful to see this great partnership between you to see how we can improve even more than where we are right now. We just spent the last probably better part of an hour, more than an hour, talking about how we want Pasadena to be a leader on climate change and green energy. And I know we also want Pasadena to be a leader in our policing and public safety. And so I'm just so heartened to hear that we're all working together towards those goals and are in a really good spot and are going to continually improve. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you.
okay. Thank you, Ms. Magula. We do have two public commenters.
Yes, Yadi and Raul Ibanez.
Nadia, welcome back.
Hello. So, Mr. Mayor, about you saying that the strategy belongs with the PD, slightly want to amend that by saying that we know we collectively write the checks and sign off on that. So I think it is a collective process, not saying that I want to weigh on every single thing that the police department does. I'm not a law enforcement person, so I don't profess to hold the knowledge or claim to be able to give input on that. But I do also want to bring up something related to what was said earlier about policy. And I want to bring up, only because of the discussions that have been happening in CPOC, that, questioning the process for keeping up to date on the changing laws and the responsibilities in adopting related policies and procedures and how that's handled in the city. For example, AB 572 by Assemblymember Calra is going to take into effect in 2027, and it relates to law enforcement interrogations. And I'm not sure if that's like something that's the responsibility of the city attorney or, Lexipol is the law enforcement vendor that helps with aiding the drafting of policies. And then there's the factor of having CPOC with a charter mandate to review policy. So, I think it would be great, like, for clarity, and also because it doesn't really bring me great joy to come and say, point out which laws we are or not in compliance with. So it would be really great to get more clarity on how new laws are adopted in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Yadi. Mr. Ibanez, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Raul. I'm a now 20-year District 5 resident, proud worker in District 7, and a member of the Community Police Oversight Commission. And I'm just here to commend the great work that IPA Teresa Magula has done this past year. The Community Police Oversight Commission unanimously and enthusiastically voted to recommend renewing her contract. And although I know that you're not taking any action items tonight, I know you will at some point, and I just want to emphasize, a couple of things. One, that continuity matters, particularly because, IPA Magula is the third IPA in just 5.5 years of our commission's existence, and I'm grateful that each IPA has been an improvement, and Teresa really does represent our strongest partnership yet. But don't just take it from me. She's earned high praise from multiple members of our department's command staff, which include our police chief, multiple deputy chiefs and lieutenants. They praise her ability to engage in the work with grace, with consistency, with a really intentional and depth. She has a depth of knowledge through her history of working with the city. And I also want to, point out that, Teresa is the only IPA we've had who speaks fluent Spanish, which gives her an ability to connect directly with a very critical population of our city. And that's especially important given today's political climate. So, thank you for accepting the ad hoc's recommendation to hire Teresa. I'm proud to have served on that ad hoc. And I hope that you enjoyed her presentation, and I hope you vote to renew her contract whenever that comes up. Thank you.
And I would note in response to that, the contract would probably come back to you in January.
Great.
For renewal.
Thank you. Okay, thank you all for your work, commissioners and Ms. Magula and police department and staff. Good work. Good teamwork. So with that, I don't think we have item 16 and 17 is going to be held. So we'll go forward with item 16. 17 will be held. I know two of you submitted cards. You can wait till the matter comes back. Yadi hadn't enough minutes tonight. So let's do 16. This should be fairly quick. Madam City Manager.
Mayor, we have Brent Maui, our city engineer, here to present this item. As you will recall, this is a return of a contract award recommendation to Arizona Machinery. And it had to do with whether or not we should be using John Deere original equipment or OEM manufactured parts and service. So he has a brief presentation if one is desired, but staff has gone back and done some additional research to find out the necessity of using these OEM parts, but also to know that we do use other aftermarket parts as well. But there are certain parts that, for safety reasons, need to be the OEM parts.
Okay.
I was one of the ones that raised this issue along with Mr. Hampton. I think the report is self-explanatory. I'm not seeking a blanket policy that forbids us ever from entering into exclusive contracts or using the manufacturer. My concern has been that we seem to do this as a consistent practice. And so I think the suggestion earlier that we have a discussion, but also that one of the outcomes of that discussion might be simply that we have greater explanation of these things in our staff reports. I think that's a good one. So I appreciate the work that's been done, and I'm prepared to support the motion.
Okay. That's your motion?
I will make that motion. It's probably not my favorite motion, but I'll make the motion.
Okay, all right. Teamwork, Mr. Cole.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Before we take the vote, we do have a speaker card on this item. Yadi has a speaker card in.
I think the points have already been brought up earlier.
Okay.
And it's this similar, like with the Motorola contracts, these contracts that are in the, hundreds of thousands and multi-million dollars. And, this relates to, if you read my written public comment of the right to repair, and I know that staff attempted to address why it needs to go with John Deere, but really what it's doing is creating a moat with, incumbent manufacturers, and it's a problem that's going to keep coming up over and over again with big vendors, manufacturers, and service providers. That is a big problem. I'm not saying that you take on the responsibility to solve it, but it is something that consumers are facing in the private sector and is affecting governments as well. And if you may recall, even with the LA fires, that there was a lot of fire trucks that were out of commission from the LA Fire Department, and it was because they were being held up by they could only be serviced by a certain manufacturer, and they were out of commission. So I don't expect miracles to happen, but, you know, this is something that affects, unfortunately, Hampton isn't here, but, you know, small business providers and, you know, being able to have more local business for here. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That completes public comment on this.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Was there a second? Yes. Ms. Rivas? Okay. And are there any objections? Seeing none, matters approved. Thank you. Okay, that completes our agenda. Item 17 will be held, given the late hour and importance of the issue. But we do have an adjournment in memory of Dr. Kenny Lau, a Pasadena resident, postdoctoral scholar, research associate, and experimental cosmologist at Caltech, who tragically died from injuries sustained as a pedestrian in a recent traffic accident in our city. And so we will adjourn in Dr. Lau's memory and notify both the university and his family that we've done so. Thank you.
Happy holidays. We won't see each other for another month
yeah.
in this setting.
Happy
so
Hanukkah, everybody.
We have a month off. Not complaining.
Yeah, thanks for remembering.